James Oliver froze in the doorway. For 2 weeks, his 3-year-old daughter hadn't eaten a single bite. And now she was chewing. Not fast, not eagerly, slowly, carefully, as if every movement mattered. James covered his mouth as tears flooded his eyes. His legs felt weak. For the first time in 14 days, he didn't feel like he was watching his child disappear. 6 months earlier, his world had already ended once. His wife, Catherine, died in a car accident on a rainy Tuesday afternoon. No warning, no goodbye. One phone call, and the woman he loved was gone. Sophie was too young to understand death. All she knew was that her mother stopped coming home. Something inside her shut down. She stopped laughing, stopped playing, stopped speaking. And then, 2 weeks ago, she stopped eating. James did everything a powerful man could do. He hired the best pediatricians, psychologists, and grief specialists. They talked about trauma responses and emotional withdrawal, but none of them could reach her. Sophie sat silently in her room, growing thinner every day, staring at nothing. James would sit beside her for hours, begging her to eat, promising toys, trips, anything. She never looked at him. James was a billionaire. He could buy anything in the world, except time, hope, and his daughter's will to live. The help didn't come from a doctor. It came from a quiet young woman named Jessica. She arrived one cold morning, hired as a maid. She had no credentials, no training in grief counseling. What she had was loss. When Mrs. Chen explained the situation, Jessica didn't look shocked. She looked understanding. Because when Jessica was 7 years old, her own mother died too. That afternoon, instead of pushing food or asking questions, Jessica sat on the floor of Sophie's room. She didn't speak at first. She just stayed. Minutes passed. The light shifted across the walls. Sophie didn't move. Finally, Jessica spoke softly. "When my mama died," she said, "I didn't want to eat either. It felt wrong to keep living when she couldn't." For the first time in weeks, Sophie's eyes flickered. The next morning, Jessica didn't prepare the expensive breakfast the doctors ordered. She made something simple. Bread, butter, cheese. She cooked a grilled cheese sandwich and sat beside Sophie, not offering it, not explaining it. She took a bite herself, and waited. Sophie watched. Slowly, hesitantly, Sophie reached out her small hand. Downstairs, Mrs. Chen ran into the study, shaking. "She's eating." James ran upstairs and stopped in the doorway. There was his daughter, holding a piece of bread, chewing through tears. And beside her sat a woman he barely knew. Jessica stayed, not because she was paid to, but because she remembered what it felt like to be that alone. That afternoon, she returned to Sophie's room without food, only honesty. "It still hurts," Jessica said quietly. "Even now. But it changes." Sophie finally spoke. "Did your mama die too?" "Yes, baby." "Does it still hurt?" "Sometimes. But it doesn't mean you stop living." Sophie studied her face. "Will you stay?" "As long as you want me to." Outside the door, Mrs. Chen wept. Downstairs, James didn't yet know that his daughter had spoken for the first time since the funeral. The following morning, Jessica returned early. She ignored the meal plans and reached again for white bread, butter, and cheese. Mrs. Chen hesitated. "The doctors." "She's not sick," Jessica said gently. "She's grieving." When James saw the sandwich, his jaw tightened. "That's not on the plan." "With respect, sir," Jessica said calmly, "the plan isn't working." James stared at the pan. "If this doesn't work," he said quietly, "you're done here." Jessica nodded. "And if it does?" He didn't answer. Upstairs, Jessica sat beside Sophie and did what no one else had thought to do. She ate first, slowly, calmly. "My grandma used to say grilled cheese tastes better when you share it with someone you trust." Sophie whispered, "Mommy made these." Jessica smiled through tears. "Then she had good taste." Sophie hesitated. "If I eat it, will I forget her?" "No," Jessica whispered. "Eating means you remember." Sophie took a bite, then another. Then she broke. She sobbed, her small body shaking. Jessica held her gently. "I miss her," Sophie cried. "I know," Jessica whispered. James stood in the doorway, shattered. This wasn't weakness. This was healing. He dropped to his knees. "I'm here. Daddy's here." Sophie reached for him. "I'm eating, like Mommy wanted." James couldn't speak. Later that night, Sophie whispered, "I wanted to go to Mommy. I thought if I stopped eating, I could go to heaven too." James collapsed, holding her tightly. "I'm so sorry," he cried. "You stopped reading to me," Sophie said softly. "I thought you didn't want me anymore." The truth cut deeper than any diagnosis. James realized he hadn't just lost his wife. He had almost lost his daughter, because grief made him disappear. "I promise," he said. I'm not going anywhere. 3 weeks passed. Sophie ate again, slowly, then fully. She laughed, she talked, she lived. James changed too. He came home early. He stayed. Sundays became sacred. Grilled cheese, laughter, together. One morning, Sophie asked, "Do you think Mommy and Jessica's mama are friends in heaven?" Jessica smiled. "Best friends." Sophie nodded. "Good. Then they're not lonely." Neither were they. This wasn't a story about money or doctors. It was about presence. Healing didn't come from fixing pain. It came from sitting inside it together. Sometimes, miracles aren't loud. Sometimes they look like grilled cheese on a Sunday morning. Like a stranger who understands. Like a child choosing to live, one bite at a time. And sometimes, love doesn't save us by taking pain away. It saves us by reminding us we don't have to face it alone.